Finger guns! What's going on, YouTube? Eric Bauer. Back again. How anticipated is this return? Probably not super anticipated. But I'm fucking back. I got a video. I got some shit to talk about. It's nothing that insane. It's mostly just what's been spinning. Some of it's new. A lot of it's not. But it's all shit that, I feel like fucking talking about today. All week. I've actually had this video in mind all week. Let's be honest. Let's be honest with each other. Let's not build this relationship on a foundation of lies. Fuck. I haven't done jack shit today. This is the first thing I've done all fucking day, and it is almost 6 p.m. That said, let's just fucking get into it. I didn't take any notes for this either, so this could just be a disaster. This is just a bunch of shit. This is just a bunch of shit that has been out on the turntable in the tape player. Some LPs, some 45s, some tapes. We're going to look at a bunch of stuff. And hopefully I don't drag my ass too much talking about any one thing here. Let's get started. What are we listening to? Can you even hear what's in the background? This is an oldie. I've had this in the collection for a while. This is the master musicians of Bukkake. I'm not lying. Master musicians of Bukkake, Totem 1, their first full-length LP, if I'm not mistaken, released, of course there's no year on here to tell me the date of release, and nothing on the inside either, but a few years old. I saw these guys live. Local band, made up of a lot of different people, people involved with like Brothers of the Sonic Cloth, Burning Witch, fucking Tad, The Accused. There are a lot of Seattle folks involved in this. So Secret Chiefs 3, I think some of those folks are involved. This is a huge fucking collective of performers, and on stage, they're fucking phenomenal. They do have a name that is pretty gross. Pretty gross name, but excellent fucking, I don't even know how I describe it. Like, sometimes it's very synthy, other times it's very tribal. If I had to compare them to another band, I honestly probably Chakung, which were fucking active way back in my heyday. A really great collective of just artists and musicians creating spontaneous chaos on stage. And that's kind of what the master musicians of Bukkake do. That's what we're listening to. Totem 1, it's awesome. Which brings us to a new pickup, actually. I snagged this one of the local shops because I didn't have it. That is another master musicians of Bukkake release. I'm not lying, that's the name. 45, 2 tracks. Got themes from the motion picture Man with the Green Gloves On. That's the first track. And then the second track, theme from the science fiction television show. Let's see if I can pronounce this correctly. Bombay Qua Ane. I could be totally off on that pronunciation. There's the back of the 45. Trippy shit. The A-side is pretty experimental. Kind of along the lines of what we're hearing right here. The B-side on this, however, is really kind of akin, if I had to compare it to anything, to some of the tracks on Mike Patton's Mondo Cane. It's great material from a great band. These guys are awesome. I don't know that they're active anymore, but well worth checking out despite the super gross name. Next thing we're going to talk about. What's the next thing we're going to talk about? Probably the last thing I listened to before that. This is one that I pulled out and I keep coming back to. And it's nothing fancy here. So you can see it's a Third Man Records sleeve. It's one of those Third Man Records live recordings. This happens to be the Golden Pelicans. Now, who are the Golden Pelicans, you might ask? Jesus fucking Christ. Golden Pelicans, they are a, I don't know, you could blanket their genre classification by calling them a punk band from Florida. But there's a lot of elements that go into their brand of punk rock. A lot of garage, a lot of psych elements. Imagine MC5, but looter, nastier, rawer, and more straightforward punk rock. And that's kind of the vibe that you get on these 4 tracks. It's a misprint, so you got the B-side label on both sides, which is kind of annoying because off the top of my head, I don't know the titles to the first and second tracks. But the reason you want to pick this up is for the 4th cut, the last track on side B, The Last Street Fighter. Fucking phenomenal, just driving, fucking garagey, rockin', punk rock hymn. This shit rules. Golden Pelicans rule. They had one of my favorite albums of 2019. This phenomenal fucking band. They've got like 3 full lengths under their belts. I want to say all releases are great. Check that shit out. I will stick with 45s. Might as well just burn through them. So the next 45 is a really early one from Dinosaur Jr. back when they were just Dinosaur before the Junior got added to the name. This is 2 tracks, Repulsion and Bulbs of Passion, released in 1985. Right around the same time as their first full length. I think this is just after Jay Mascis left Deep Wound and formed Dinosaur. This stuff is great. If you are familiar with Dinosaur Jr. at all, especially the early shit, you know what you're going to get with these 2 cuts. They rule. It's really noisy, feedback laden, sometimes punk, sometimes just rock. You got that fucking Neil Young Crazy Horse vibe that Jay Mascis has been pretty obsessed with basically like his whole career. It's just a lot noisier, a lot fuzzier, more distorted, and punky on this recording than he got in the latter days of his career. And to that end, we've got this Dinosaur Jr. EP from 2009. Fucking Pieces and Houses. Or Houses. This is a great fucking EP. Really, really good example of this particular era of Dinosaur Jr. Kind of coincides, I want to say, with a lot of that early Jay Mascis solo material. I like this a little bit better. The solo material is a little too acoustic, which isn't to say I don't enjoy it. I do, and it's got a place in the collection as well. But this stuff, I can just flip over and over and over again. A side, B side, A side, B side. Dinosaur Jr. Shit rules. Am I yelling? Am I talking too loud? This music's loud. Why don't we turn it down? Master musicians Bukkake, y'all. All right. So what are we gonna talk about next? Some tapes. We'll talk about tapes. I've been listening to the shit out of this. Klaus Flouride, Because I Say So, on Alternative Tentacles Records. Do you know who Klaus Flouride is? He was the bass player for the Dead Kennedys. And if you go into this album expecting anything that sounds even remotely similar to the Dead Kennedys, you will be disappointed. Very disappointed. This album is a lot of ambience, a lot of noise, a lot of like weird Beatles influenced like psychedelic rock. And I don't like the Beatles, but I like this. I like this a lot. Especially the track Bust Through the Barrier. If you want to call anything like a clone of that like 60s psych sound, that one, I mean, that's the lyrics. It sounds a lot like Relics era Pink Floyd at times. It's really good. It's really weird. It's very hard to pigeonhole. It's good background music, which is what I've been using it for. Klaus Flouride. Shit is great. And that'll bring us to Butthole Surfers. Psychic Powerless, Another Man's Sack. This album is not my favorite album by the Butthole Surfers. Another band with another name that's... It's like... clearly, you weren't thinking for the long term there when you came up with that name. Released by Touch and Go. And if you're familiar with like that Touch and Go style of music, I mean, they had a definite, like a lot like Amphetamine Reptile. Touch and Go had kind of like a niche, and Butthole Surfers were very well, very much a foundation of that niche. It's a weird album. I mean, it's the Butthole Surfers, so it's probably about what you'd expect. But I mean, you've got great tracks on here. Dum Dum, self-titled Butthole Surfers track, Mexican Caravan, Cowboy Bob, Gary Floyd. It's a classic. Not quite up to like Locust Abortion Technician standards, but it's good. It's something I definitely recommend adding to your collection if you're into weird punk, crossing over into like noise, odd territory. And this song is great. Probably one of my favorite tracks on this album. Let's listen for a second. Oh yeah, this shit's fucking just spark a bowl, sit down, crank this shit. Master musicians of Bukkake, y'all. How many times is Eric gonna say Bukkake in this video? Oh, maybe that's my last time. Wow. It's so good. It's like, so not to talk too much more about this band, obviously they cribbed their name from the master musicians of, I'm going to try and pronounce it, Jujoku. So it's a goof on that, but I mean, the songs are fucking just impeccable, catchy, ambient, rhythmic, hypnotic drones. I mean, it's infectious. It's so good. Okay. Reeling myself back in. Next tape, we're gonna talk about. This is a great one. The Flaming Lips. Here it is. It's the first Flaming Lips album, and it's just fucking, it's awesome. This is a great fucking record. Released by Pink Dust in 1986. I love the early Flaming Lips material, like up until about 1990. They kind of lost me when they started getting like too psych. This album, being their first, is just a really great blend of like psych rock, punk, post-punk. There's even hints of hardcore in this album, but it's very drug-fueled. There's a lot of haze. to this album. It's just, it rules. It's one of those records that, I don't know, when you mention the Flaming Lips, a lot of people kind of like, ugh. Look at that. Look at that fucking... How could you not want to listen to that based off of that record? Or that art. That art for this record. It's just... It's so good. It's one of those albums that's hard for me to kind of like pontificate upon, being that there's so many elements that go into what this album is. And it's just fucking great fucking rock and roll, for lack of a better description for it. It's awesome. Another one I can't recommend enough, and there's another one that I've been playing a lot of. Fucking Live Skull with Pause Attraction. This one was released on Caroline, and Live Skull, not to be confused with Old Skull, were a New York noise rock band. They kind of came up like the early to mid 80s. This is a release from 1990, I believe. Most of what this band put out during their time as a band, 1988, excuse me, just clear shell on the cassette. Most of what these guys put out as a band is great. I've yet to hear a Live Skull album. Jesus. I've yet to hear a Live Skull album that I don't like, that I don't dig. And this one is one of my favorites of the latter era of Live Skull, which will bring me to the first of the LPs, and that is Live Skull with Cloud One, released on Harvest, the same label that put out that Dinosaur 7-inch we looked at previously. Cloud One is not their first album. I want to say it's their second full-length LP, released in '86. It's very, very good. The first album is also very, very good, but this is really the first album to blend kind of the full amount of their influences into one cohesive record. And how to describe it? It's got punk elements, of course. You got a fucking insert with like a ton of Live Skull flyers. You see the fucking Flipper and Live Skull. That would have been a fucking great show. Flipper, there's a good point of reference. If you're familiar with like the early Flipper shit, not like fucking Deaf American Flipper, like American Graffiti. That album sucks. But the early Flipper material, it's kind of what to expect from Live Skull. Is this kind of anti-punk noise rock. They came up with bands like Sonic Youth. They're from the same area, as well as the Swans, Lubricated Goat, that type of stuff. An album that would have been very at home on like Glitterhouse Records, the German label, or even stuff that's like Amphetamine Reptile adjacent. Very post-punk at points, sometimes post-rock at points. It's just a great fucking record. Live Skull are awesome, and what's cool about Live Skull is that their fucking material is cheap as shit. Whether you find it in the wild, where I was lucky enough to find those, or whether you have to order it off to fucking Discogs or eBay. Nobody wants a lot of money for that stuff, and it's all great. I highly recommend Cloud One as a starting point. Pause Attraction, again, another album that you can't really go wrong with. I want to say the album that preceded Pause Attraction is called Dusted, and that one is also great. In the meantime, I'm going to flip this Master Musicians a fucking Bukkake, y'all. Let's do it. This record's just so good. I haven't spun this LP in a while. The 7-inch, I'm getting a lot of love, but this LP, it's been a minute. And I love it. Here's another one. It's actually kind of new to the collection. I picked it up at my favorite local shop, which I can't go a single episode without mentioning, Daybreak Records. It is the debut L7 LP. Originally released by, who released it originally? Well, originally out in 88. This is in 91. Epitaph Records reissue. L7, fucking phenomenal band. One of those bands that later on in their career kind of towed the line between a lot of different genres, but this album was their start, and it is a punk rock fucking rager. You've got tracks like the opener, Bite the Wax Tadpole. That fucking song rages, really sets the tone for the album. They do get sludgy on occasion. They've got a great track that's kind of an homage to Abel Ferrara's MS-45 called MS-45. I Drink, Snake Handler. This album is fucking great. If you look at that picture, the ladies involved in this music, I mean, that's the cacophony of what's going up on that stage is really a good indicator of what you're going to get on this fucking record. It's just abrasive. It is driving, just raw fucking punk. Garagey at times, grungy at times. Came out a very nice, clear wax. Awesome fucking record. And I don't know, dare I say it's one of my favorites. Members of L7, they went on like Hammers of Misfortune. I'd say maybe even had something to do with like Ludacra at one point. And Lord Weird Slowfay, or Slafeg. I don't know the correct pronunciation, but a great band as well from the same area, like Oakland, San Francisco, Berkeley area in California. Just fucking awesome shit. Next one we're going to talk about. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this, but oh fuck, am I glad to have this. Roky Erickson and the Aliens, the Evil One reissue on Light in the Attic. This is a 2021 reissue of a 1980 or 1980 album by Roky Erickson and the Aliens. Came with an OBI, but I took it out, as all Light in the Attic reissues do. Excellent gatefold. And a double LP, 3 sides, an etching on the B side. Very nice vinyl treatment. Love the Light in the Attic take on the old CBS labels. That was the original label for this album. This vinyl treatment is stellar. I have another one of their reissues of Roky Erickson album. I don't know if, there you go. You got the Rats. This album is just incredible. Really, for me, the definitive Roky Erickson album. Just Two-Headed Dog. I think of Demons. Don't Shake Me, Lucifer. White Faces. Creature with the Atom Brain. Stand for the Fire Demon. I mean, that's just some of the tracks on here. Every track on here is good. And then the third track is just some extra bonuses. If you have Ghosts, Sputnik, The Wind and More, Bloody Hammer, Click Your Fingers, Applauding, The Play. This album is a masterpiece. Roky Erickson, icon, a true loss for the music community when he passed away. I mean, the man was a musical genius. Whether we're talking 13th Floor Elevators or his solo shit, and I love this album. It is one I've been after for a very long time, and it's one of those that when you see it available, you have to grab it because. Am I re-sleeving on camera? I might be. It's cool though. I'm a professional. This album's just. It's phenomenal. It's mandatory. Essential. It is essential. Next up, still got some time. Got two more things I want to talk to you all about. This is a record I meant to mention a few times since picking it up, and that is this Calibro 35 double LP reissue from Record Kicks from last year. Originally, this album, I want to say it's their first album, came out 2008, 2009, somewhere around there. Now I saw this. Look at that artwork. I mean, I saw this at the record store in just the miscellaneous rock section, and I didn't know what it was, but based off of that, it looks like the soundtrack to like an Italian crime thriller. And I love myself some Italian crime thrillers. Whether it's the stuff that Umberto Lenzi directed or the Lucio Fulci directed crime action flicks. I mean, even the inside of the gatefold. As far as what this is, Calibro 35, they are an Italian band, and they play music that sounds like the soundtrack to an Italian crime thriller, at least on this record. But it's so well done. There's a lot of like jazz elements and a lot of funk elements on here. A lot of synthy, like pulsing, bass-driven grooves. This album is phenomenal. I never heard of this band before. They've been around for a while. They've got a bunch of records out. I haven't, like I said, I haven't investigated beyond this. I intend to. I got a lot of shit on my plate. A lot of bands, a lot of records I want to listen to. This stuff is fucking awesome. Highly recommend it. And the last record I want to talk to you all about. It's another one I've been meaning to talk about for a while now. Fucking Axiom Funk. Funkonomicon. Jesus. This album is monstrous. Now, you see the Axiom Funk clearly over Funkadelic. This has often been described as the final Funkadelic record. It's on the Axiom label, which is a label owned by Bill Laswell. The gatefold, not much going on in the gatefold, but it's a double LP, so I don't mind the fact that it is a gatefold. Coke bottle wax. This record is fucking killer. If you like Funkadelic, you're gonna like this record. You've got people involved in this. Bill Laswell. Fucking, who else do we have on this album? Jesus. So many people involved in this. And right now, I'm struggling to find names. Buckethead, George Clinton, Bootsy Collins, Sly Dunbar, and Robbie Shakespeare, Anton Fear, Herbie fucking Hancock, Fred Wesley, fucking Bobby Bird, Bill Laswell. If you like any of those names that I just read off, you're going to like this record. It is a Funkadelic record, and it's great. It's got elements of funk, elements of rock, elements of hard rock, elements of dub, of course, courtesy of Bill Laswell. I mean, he is mainly a dub guy, at least at the time that this album came out. This is a very much needed reissue. Prior to this, it was only ever available on CD. And if that's all you can find, it's still fucking worth getting. It's just so good. Originally out 1995. I love this album. It's fucking shake your booty music. Get stoned, shake your booty. That's what this record's all about. And on that note, we are at the 30-minute mark. I'm out, YouTube. Peace out. Take care of yourself. Stay healthy. And don't be shitty.